Wow, we had like a really great talks here today, and I hope you're excited because my talk isn't going to be a technical one, but a totally different one. So before I start, how many of you are engineers here today? Wow, a lot of hands. Okay, good. And how many of you are leading teams? Oh, okay, even better. So while I was prepping for this talk, I was thinking, how am I gonna be inside a room full of engineers, myself included, and tell them we are all irresponsible? So before I do that, let me introduce myself. My name is Agis Tsaraboulidis. I know the name is long. I'm from Greece, and I'm the co-founder and CTO of Iris Health, a modern-day emergency health service. And my Twitter handle is right up there, so if you're going to tweet me or ask me anything, feel free to do it. So this is how companies think of being ethical, and they try to make us think the same way, but it's not like that. So what's the first thing you think when it comes to ethics? For me, it's this question. How did we get here? How did we get from a point to, let's say, we can be like everything with technology and we can help so many people, we can connect people, to violating user privacy, sending data to third-party companies, and doesn't respect the user at all? While I was researching for this talk, I found 30+ incidents that I couldn't put up on the talk, but this number is keep growing. This number is keep growing, and if you still don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to present 4 different cases of 4 different companies violating user privacy, selling data to third-party companies to target you with ads, among other things. So the first one is Facebook. Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. So what happened here? If you're living under a rock and you don't know about it, Facebook shared data with a developer, and this developer sold the data to Cambridge Analytica. This thing made the Cambridge Analytica to use this data to target American voters in the 2016 election. The thing here is that in 2014, when Facebook heard about that, the thing that they did is to ban the developer from the platform and also to send a note to Cambridge Analytica to ask if they deleted the data, and they said they did, but that wasn't the case. The latest story from Facebook is the log of the call history and SMS messages. So if you're using an Android phone, not good for you. So all of your calls and all of your SMS logs are in the Facebook server. This didn't happen to the iOS platform, and that's because of the platform, not because Facebook wanted that. Before I came into the States, the last minute, I saw that Facebook today published a blog post saying that they found 200 more apps that were sharing data with third-party companies, and they banned them from the platform. So this problem is keep growing. Wow. The second company is Uber. Uber doesn't have a good history around ethics, even in business or tech ethics. So Uber, one of the things they did, because there are a lot, is they track the location of the users after they ended the ride with them. And they did that for a long time. The reason behind that is to provide better services for people. So when this article was published, Uber took action 1 year after that, and they took down this functionality, which isn't fast. Another company that you may don't know is Grindr. Grindr did the thing that they shared the data of their users around their HIV status and email data and the GPS data, and they share that with third-party companies. I mean, how you can do something like that? You have users that put their information into your site, and they expect from you to keep them safe, and instead you go out and say to all the other companies, let's have the data there. So the users trust companies to keep their data safe, but that's not the case. The last company I'm going to talk about is Volkswagen, for a couple of reasons, and the emission scandal. First one, the thing that they did wasn't ethical at all. So they built a program that when they were testing the cars, the emission standards meet the European standard, so they can pass all the tests and they can send the cars to Europe. But when they actually sent the cars to Europe, the emissions were pretty much higher than the Europe standard. Europe found about that, and they asked Volkswagen to pay fines. But the interesting thing about this story is that the engineer behind this program went in jail. So the company had to pay fines, but the engineer went to jail. As you can see, we have a real problem here. And as engineers, we like to break problems into smaller ones so we can solve them. This is a problem that we didn't broke before into smaller pieces, so I can do that for you now. So I want you all to focus in 3 areas. The first one is culture. Culture can make or break a company. And I say that because it's deeply connected with leadership. Companies hide behind like mantras or mottos like, let's make the world more open and connected, or let's provide better services for people, but at what cost? If you steal all the data or you sell data to third-party developers or companies, you don't do things the right way. Like I mentioned, leadership is really and deeply connected with culture. Leadership can influence the culture in a good or a bad way. So, let's say that you are the CTO on one of the biggest social networks in the world, and you found out that your service is saved like all the passwords of all of their users in plain text. This is not something that you should tweet, so we are sharing this information to help people make an informed decision about their account security. We didn't have to. It's the right thing to do. No, you had to, because I trust you with all of my information. So yeah, it's the right thing to do, and you have to inform me about it. The last thing I want to talk about is time. I know it may sound weird, but think of a day at the office. You go into the office at 9, you have a bunch of meetings, you have like a little bit of time between to work on a problem or write code, and the day goes by, and the only thing you think about is how I can finish today's work. So when you are working on a problem, you don't think of all the implications that the software that you write is going to have to people. So because of that, you may take so many wrong decisions, and that will cost to your users. What we could do for this problem. So we can keep ignoring this problem, and we can continue with our lives, but that's not the right thing to do, and we need to start doing the right thing. Again, the magic number in this presentation is 3. So I want you to focus on 3 areas. And the first one is leadership. Like I mentioned, leadership can really influence the culture of the company. A leader needs to promote good conduct, needs to promote good conduct and foster an ethical culture. This is really important because if one leader in your organization do that, then it will inspire others to do the same. The second one is the ability of leaders to intervene. What I mean by that is that when a leader sees something that it's not ethical or it's not right, the leader needs to intervene and stop that behavior from happening so you can have a more ethical culture. And the third one, moral credibility of leaders. The personal moral credibility of leaders can be very important in enhancing the ethical culture in a company. So keep these 3 points in mind. Wow. Another area that you all need to focus on is a code of ethics. Think about life. In everything we do, from driving to live, we have a set of rules to follow. For example, someone breaks into a bank and robs the bank, and this person gets arrested. I don't think that this person accepts to get away with it. That would be crazy. So why, when we develop software and we develop bad software that can influence people in a really bad way by sharing their data, we can expect to get away with it? It's not right. So we need to set ground rules that's universal for all engineers, and they need to follow them. I didn't want to call them rules, but they are rules. The first one, be responsible for the work you put into the world. Engineering is a discipline of action. You are responsible for what you put into this world. It has your name in it. The second one, value impact over form. Engineering doesn't exist in a vacuum. Society is the biggest system that we can impact, and everything you do is part of that system, good or bad. We need to fear the consequences of our work more than we love our charminess of our work. So I don't know if you read about it, but there are many Facebook executives that they left the company or they worked at the company before, then they say, hey, the like button that we built is bad for society. I know that, and you make millions out of it, so it's really late to say that, among other things. The third one, accept full responsibility for your own work. Like I said, if you rob a bank, you can expect to go into jail. So if you write code that's unethical, you should expect that you will face the consequences. The third area that I want you all to focus on is ethics in university. So think about when you were in university and you had all these programming classes, you talked about all this fancy stuff, the frameworks, and what you can build with it. But no one told you about the implications that the work that you are going to do will have to people. So I have a pretty interesting story to share with you. I was in university a while ago, and I had a class about AI and machine learning. And the professor talked about all the amazing things you can build with AI and machine learning and blah, blah, blah. So I stopped him and I said to him, yeah, but you build all this cool stuff, but all this stuff will have some implications in people's lives. He didn't answer. So I said to him, we need to think about the implications that this work may have to people. He didn't answer as well. So I thought that he didn't care, or he didn't want to say that I was right in front of the whole class. I wasn't sure. So while I was leaving this class, he came to me and he said, hey, you were right. I mean, I need to talk about that stuff, but I don't. And this really made me think that we need to talk about this stuff. Not only in university, like everywhere. We need to talk about this stuff because we have a power that can really build or break the world in the future. And we also need to talk about this stuff because the next generation of engineers, designers, need to be better than us, because we are not in a place to call ourselves good. So, why I care, or why you should care about this stuff? I believe, and I think that you all believe, that privacy is a fundamental human right, and we should treat it as such. So, we have a duty toward the humans on the other end of the screen to build a product that they can love and trust. But we can only do that if we ourselves are transparent and straightforward in the way we do so, and the route we take to get there. Thank you.